couple of years because I paid my car off. And I started looking online yesterday because my dream car has always been a Range Rover. So after the results came out yesterday for first quarter, I'm like, yeah, I deserve a Range Rover. I'm going to go get one. And then I looked at payments and I was like, yeah, that's not happening.
I was going to say,
Too
you could
expensive.
have mine. All right. I think we're live.
I guess so.
Beautiful. It worked.
Nice.
Last week was a disaster. All right. So here we are. Pops, do you know what today is? It's the Dave and Dave episode 70.
70.
Wow.
Your
Nice.
age.
So for those of you who have not watched the Corona Kings and Queens, this is our second episode with this. I'm going to give you some context. I have a coach that when this all first started happening, he changed my frame and perspective on the whole situation. And he said that in Spanish, La Corona literally means the crown. And he said, you change your perspective is in the dark times, regardless of what's happening, regardless if it's lives or livelihood, that this is a time for leaders to step up and put their crowns on and lead, especially when the times are the darkest. This is when the crown needs to be on to create the most light. So he's been using Corona Kings as a hashtag for our warrior group. And he encouraged us all to share this on. And I thought, wow, we have so many situations and stories about our agents either continuing on with their success or just pushing out all the negativity, fighting through all the noise to continue seeing successes, no matter how small, no matter how big. So we've been selecting agents every single week to tell stories and to explain, what it is to be a Corona King or a Corona Queen during this time. Sound good, guys?
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
All right. So let me introduce everyone on the call. We have three of our most amazing rock stars and representatives of Urban Nest. I say this all the time. When my father and I created this company, we had an ideal agent in mind that would reflect us, and hopefully we would reflect them. We could not have a better three people to exemplify of what we were imagining, envisioning back in 2012 when we started this. So let's start. We'll start with Faith, who's been with us the longest, probably in the top, 10, 15 agents that joined us, Faith, right? It's been 7 years?
I don't 5 or 6, I think, actually.
Has it?
I think you were open for maybe a year and a half. And then I needed to make a move last minute. And like I always say, I usually interview like 5 or 6 companies, but this time I didn't interview any. I just said, I know where I want to go. And here I came.
And from that point on, we have had the honor to have a front row seat of watching Faith skyrocket in success and growth as both an agent, a team leader, and a person. So that has been amazing. And she's consistently in the top 50 agents of all of Las Vegas. So that's Faith Harmer. I'm giving you your introduction.
Oh, Faith.
So then let's go to Jim, who I've probably known the longest in here, back in the Realty One days in Southwest office.
Yep.
And same situation. I remember Jim was kind of like me, young punk, right? Back in the day.
I still am.
Yeah. And what he, in the beginning, representing investors, kind of feeling his way out. And then again, similar story, all three of you, skyrocket. And Jim finally made his way back to us a couple of years ago. And we couldn't be happier. Again, another agent completely doing it the right way. Success both in numbers and in integrity, and continually in the top 50. So welcome to Jim Fong.
Thanks, Dave.
And then
He may still be a punk, but he's not young anymore, Dave.
Exactly.
What was
Yes.
the whole, thanks, Dave?
He's not. I'm gonna make him blush. And then our newest to the group, talk about skyrocket. Our current WCR president in Las Vegas joined us about what, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Year and a half ago.
And again, we don't take any credit for their success, but watching her go year over year over year, it's been like this with a J curve, and totally infectious spirit and energy, and we love having her as a part of the nest. And I mean, what number did you hit out of 410 agents just recently? Two.
Number
I'm
2.
coming after Ben.
Coming after Ben.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations.
That's great.
Remember, Christina, when you said you wanted to grow and how you wanted to grow in that interview?
Yeah.
Well, you took that to the moon and back, man.
I seriously feel like I'm living in a dream, but oh well, I'm just gonna keep writing it out.
Yeah, you should. Don't change anything.
So let's jump in. Oh, excuse me. How could I forget? The man, the myth, the icon, the legend, David Ronald Tina, our current RVP, Region 11. We are lucky and grateful to have a lot of, 2020 leaders, although you guys have kind of got I wouldn't say a raw deal, but you're definitely the leaders we needed in 2020, because this is the time when we really have to step up.
I call myself the virtual RVP because everything is zooming around. That's it.
I like it though. They get a lot more of you, which is great. In some reverse way, you have more of an opportunity to lead and get in front of people when they need it the most. And I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in coincidences. I don't think they're by accident. And I don't think by accident that Christina's president this year at WCR, and you're the RVP, and Georgia's the chair of the MLS. I believe things happen for a reason. So now that we've introduced us, let's talk. The first quarter numbers have come out. I have your April numbers in front of me for starting the second quarter and even the first week of May. And none of the three of you seem to be slowing down. You both are as steady as could be. And every day when I'm signing checks, one of you seems to be on my list. So what's the secret sauce? How come you guys are able to continue wearing the crown in the hardest time? Feel free for any of you to jump in.
I could start.
Okay.
I think that from the moment this even started, I just told myself immediately that mindset over matter, and that was everything. And I wasn't going to go down without a fight. So I stayed steady. And I think that that's why the business has continued to stay steady. And I think I hear other agents talking about, oh, I'm slow. There's nothing going on. Nobody's buying, nobody's selling. And I feel like it's a mindset, not an actual situation that's happening. They've created that scenario in their mind, and that's the results they're getting. And I feel that's been 100% why my experience over the last 45 days has been different than others, because I just wasn't gonna believe in that.
So there's a great quote by Tony Robbins: what you focus on expands. And I think you just explained that wonderfully. Jim, Faith?
For me, I would say I drew on my experience of living through the crash. I don't remember how many years you've been in real estate, Christina, but living through that was the same verbiage we got. Nobody's buying, nobody's selling. And at first, I mean, that went on for so long, it was kind of discouraging. But then at a certain point, you just had to jump in and do what you had to do. And I remember I had a mind shift, and I just said, you know what, I don't care if it's a $50,000 house that they're only paying 2% commission on, and I got to do a short sale and wait 8 months for my money. I'm doing it. I'm working it. And so I did, and pulled through that period. So I was really glad that I had that experience to draw on, because I knew that same thing, no matter what happens, if you're just creative enough and you let the ideas come to you, and you try to keep a positive mindset, you'll find a rainbow in all the clouds. You'll find that special little diamond that you are a new way of doing things, a new business, a new idea that comes to you through hard times.
I love it.
That was mine.
And I agree that, we're going to talk more about that as we go, but what you're saying about '08 is you're battle tested.
Yes.
And that
Absolutely.
is such a muscle to have, like muscle memory to build strength off of. Everyone avoids the pain so much without realizing the power of being able to draw upon the past and know I've done this before and I could do that again. I love it. Mr. Fong.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, what was I doing in 2008? I do think about those times, and that's actually the time I joined Realty One Group, actually. So that's when I first met the good-looking Dave, was back then, and it was like the town center office. It wasn't even Charleston yet. So, but I was just thinking about those times, and me and Christina actually had a little chat about this too online. Is when the shutdown first happened, I was at home just not shaving and just looking real homely and stuff. And I was just thinking about how during the crash, everybody always asked me, "Oh, what do you do? What do you do?" Right? And I would always tell them, "Oh, I'm in real estate." And the reaction they would have would always be like, "Oh, are you doing okay? Are you going to make it? Are you, are you getting any assistance?" I don't know. They felt bad for me. They're like, "Oh my God, you're in real estate in Las Vegas. Your life must be hard," right? And I would always tell them, well, in every market, there's buyers and sellers. And as long as there are buyers and sellers, there's going to be commissions, all right? So if prices go up, it's going to motivate certain people to buy or sell one way or the other. And if prices go down, same thing. There's going to be other motivations for other people to buy and sell. So as long as we're in the game, we stay in the game, you're going to get something, I mean, it's that, like Christina was saying, it's like, there are so many people out there right now, like, "Oh man, I got a bunch of deals canceled. I'm having no showings. All my buyers are on the fence now. They don't know what to do." Like, yeah, you have to have that mindset. Like, everything's going to be fine. As long as people are buying and selling, we're going to earn our commissions. So that mindset thing. And then, yeah, I'm just going to agree with Faith too. Like, just looking back with the experience, I'm definitely not as worried as I was back then, for sure. Because back then I totally fell into, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And having been through it is yeah, I'm totally prepared.
You said don't quit. And I've been talking a lot in our own private page about outlasting the competition, right? And I was living in scarcity a little bit because I was thinking maybe I shouldn't share this with everybody, and I was keeping it just for us with the Nest agents. But the reality is, if there's two ways to succeed, and I love that you brought this up, is one is don't quit while everyone is thinking about quitting. Everyone is thinking about hiding. Everyone thinking about throwing in the towel. And while it's okay to let that feeling come in, then you got to process it out. And the comment I love with the don't quit is, and I've been saying this so often, is you don't have to outrun the tiger. You just have to outrun the guy next to you. You don't have to outswim the shark. You just have to outswim the scuba diver next to you, right? So I love that. It's like you have to have that mentality that I am not going to give up. And I'll be the last man standing. No, like what Faith said, no matter how hard I have to fight, nothing's beneath me. I'm going to do it. I'm willing to do the work. So I love that. All right. I kept thinking while I was looking at the three of you that success leaves clues, right? When you look at success enough and you interview and talk to and you're around enough successful people, you start seeing patterns that are in every single story. So with all of your success, give me something specific of the foundation of why your phone's still ringing, why you're still doing business. I'll give you some examples. Is it because of a lead generation site? Is it because of relationships you've built in the last 5 years? Because of a CRM? Is it because of a mindset? We've talked about mindset, so obviously it's because of a mindset. But what else is the reason why you're still able to provide service for the people in your life?
You sort of broke up there, Dave. Maybe you should repeat the question. You froze.
Oh,
Did I?
I heard him. Okay.
I heard it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I froze.
You froze.
I will say for me, I think that I've been in the faith you were saying, I just hit my 5-year mark in March, and I really truly feel like it's the seeds that I've been planting all along for the last 5 years for me of why the phone's still ringing. The clients are still coming to me to be their expert advice or whatever they're looking for. I think it's not something I'm doing. It's not a CRM. It's the seeds I've been planting and the relationships I've been building all along the way.
I would agree with that 100%, Christina, because that's what I started. So during the crash before, I decided that I was going to teach myself a lot of things. So I went on and I tried to learn Google AdWords. That was when I was at Realty One Group too. And then I started getting myself on all the review platforms, that kind of thing. I started building from there. And then I started really reaching out to past clients. And I always tell my clients, like, I don't look at myself as a salesperson. I'm an information provider. I'm going to provide you with honest, detailed information. And if it works for you, then we'll move forward. If not, I'm not going to pressure you. And then from there, it's, Dave, you also ask, is it online? Is it relationships? I believe in doing it all. So I'm working with past clients. We're calling them, we're texting them, we do birthday cards. And I'm doing the online stuff too, because people still look for that stuff. We also have an internal Faith and Team Facebook page. So what I started about a month ago is every Friday, we're having a 2 p.m. happy hour. And it's a Zoom with our internal Facebook Live. And then what we're doing is we're just providing information because our market is changing so fast that every week there's something new. So now we started having guests that want to come on. So it's the team, and it's Casey the lender, Misty from Chicago Title, but then we're having an appraiser on. Last week we had a real estate attorney on talking about forbearance and for renters. This next coming week, we actually have Dr. Saw on our Faith and Team page. So we're just trying to provide information and let people know where we are, and they're really appreciating it a lot.
Beautiful. I love it. So
Well,
Faith, hold on, Jim, for a second. I'm gonna ask Faith a follow-up. How much of deals, if you just had to ballpark it right now, in the last 3 months, or since, let's say, the last 2 months, do you think have been because of / versus online or other?
I think we're probably about 50-50 right now. I'm really shocked at how much the online inquiries have increased. You would think they'd decrease, and not just sellers, but buyers. I'm really surprised. And I keep kind of quoting the same thing, but my experience right now has been that $200,000 to $300,000 price point is actually the hard price point to be as a listing agent. And I have a couple of them because those are the people, the buyers, that jobs have been hit the hardest. And then I've noticed the $350,000, $400,000 to $650,000 or $700,000 range, it's going like gangbusters. So that was something unexpected that I didn't think about was going to happen.
Totally. Thanks, Faith. All right, Jimmy.
I would just say, not to say mindset again, but I think you have to stay optimistic during these times, because there's a lot of people that are just, I don't know, everyone's scared. They're fearful. They're like, well, people have lost jobs. We're dependent on tourism here, all these things. There's a lot of ways to look at this, right? Like Faith, you just mentioned, it's hard to be in between the 200 and 300K price range. And I would probably disagree. I would say, you know what? People have been struggling on the buyer side in that price range, getting outbid. Oh, I got FHA and I'm getting outbid by conventional buyers and this stuff. I think it's actually opening up an opportunity for people in that price range right now.
For buyers.
Being in a less competitive market, right? I mean, it's not really tough. I mean, is it really tough? I mean,
Well, I mean, they
yeah.
were to pay closing costs and now they're getting offers having to pay closing costs.
Well, the
So
market's
they're
different. We have to adjust. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's just part of the market, you know. It's like, well, you want to leave it on and wait. I mean, I think it's actually there's a positive in everything. Like I always think that there's like the glass is full everywhere. So I mean, I think
Yeah,
if you're worried about yourself, like you said, the internet leads have gone up a lot too, right? I've noticed that as well. I
Yeah.
mean, and I notice right now everyone's much more willing to talk right now, huh? They want to get your
Yeah.
opinion. They want to get an opinion from a professional that's in the business. Like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? And they're much more willing to talk now as before, as because they would just be like, I'm just looking, leave me alone, right? Now they're like, what do you think is going to happen, Jim? Are prices going down more? Should I buy now? Should I wait? Like, they're way more willing to engage at this point, I feel like.
I think it's
So
a really great time for those, entry level buyers, the 200 to 300 range. Every buyer that I've been talking to over the last couple of years, and they're gonna buy, they're probably going to, maybe want to. Now I'm like telling them, like, this is a fantastic time because I can get you closing costs. I can get you like, you're going to be able to get in with a very minimal amount of money. So all those excuses of why you were sitting on the fence for so long, couldn't save up the money you needed or whatever it was. Now I'm like, now's your negotiating time. And this would have never been here if it wasn't for the COVID-19, because we would be in that crazy fire market where you couldn't get a dime if you tried and you'd be up against multiple offers. So again, it's just about adjusting, like flipping the switch. Well, how do we find the silver linings in this, and who's, going to benefit, and how do we help them get, reach the goal that they're looking for?
You bring up good points. I mean, affordability is and what was going to be probably the biggest story of the time we're in if we weren't dealing with coronavirus. I mean, we were going to have less inventory, prices going up. Who knows what the rates would be doing at this point? I'd be assuming they'd be creeping up. But now I saw Toll Brothers offering 2.99%, which someone else was saying 2.75 on a VA. There are, like you said, Christina, there are buyers that have been waiting for this forever. And if they don't jump on this opportunity, who knows? And I love that you all are saying the different angles, because none of us have a crystal ball. That's one of Pops's greatest explanations of this, but you can only see if the window opens this much. And then the opportunity may be that fast or it may be longer. But I'm always about striking while it's hot. So I love your take on that. So,
And those low interest rates come November, I don't think we're going to have a guarantee. So when people are asking me now, I go, if the market goes down a little bit and you got it in the 2s or the low 3s, who cares if you lost a few thousand in price? You're never getting those rates again.
That's exactly the conversation I'm telling people. Like, even if values drop in the single digits, let's say whatever, by the time the interest rates start to creep up, it's a wash. And you've spent another year renting, so there's $20,000 down the drain. So it's like, are you really winning? You got to look at the whole picture. It's not just how much are you buying the house for. It's everything else. And the more, again, you have that information and you explain it to them, then the light bulb goes off and the buyers are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You're right. Now is a good time. Let's do this.
But I also love, Faith, that the price range you're talking about has been a notoriously difficult price range for it to be strong. So the fact that you're seeing 350, 450, 550 strong gives me hope, because the kiss of death for a long time was 450 in the Northwest. It was just a hard listing to get some traction. And the fact that you're seeing, I'm not assuming that it's the Northwest, but the fact that in between price range, you're seeing traction, I think is very promising.
Well, and I'm primarily a listing agent. So my opinion and my experience comes from primarily listings, because the girls have the buyers. So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about as a listing agent perspective. But the hard part for my sellers is that a lot of them they have a tighter window. So it's a little tougher for them on their side, but definitely not that same seller's market that it was, but still really good. I mean, pleasantly surprised with the activity. I mean, lots and lots of I had 6 showings on a listing the other day. Very active.
and you know, you gotta love the frames we all look at things through.
Yeah.
My wife does high end, and that market is still super strong. So we just talked about 3 submarkets that are all still like this. So Jim, what about the investor market? What are you seeing on there?
Selling off right now. I think a lot
There's-
of people are talking about selling off right now. I mean, for this whole month so far, all 6 days, I've had a lot of conversations about collecting rent, which has been difficult for some landlords. And that's kind of been sparking off a lot of, do you think I should sell it off right now? Well, I'll tell you, I just tell them, I don't know, but I'll tell you what you can get for it right now. If that's what works for you, you know, you can hold on to it if you don't need to sell it. But if you have other opportunities, I mean, so definitely more on the seller side when people are investing. The people that are asking about investing are maybe kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I mean, literally like 2 weeks after the shutdown, people are calling me and asking me about, the price is just, dropping like crazy yet. I'm like, it just doesn't work that fast, like if you want to see if it affects pricing, I mean, you're going to have to look at least 6 months down the road, if anything. I mean, like we were talking before, any decrease in sale price has not really been seen yet, really, but we have noticed seller concessions increasing a little bit, and it does, I think on average it's like 2% only. So I mean, if there was a decrease, it's right there,
You hit the nail on the head. The numbers coming out today.
Yep.
The prices have dropped about 3%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they hit the 319 to 310.
There you go.
And that's coming on the price. But here's a question for all 3 of you.
Mhm.
I know you all work with investors to a degree, but I have this unscientific test, right? When people say, I think the market's going to drop, whether it's in a normal market or whatever that is, or right now. And I play the game of how far would it have to drop for all of the people who are waiting for a drop to come running back in, right? That's like, so if I say, all right, if you can get a 5% break on the home that you are interested in or the segment, would you buy right now? Would it be 10%? And then I started thinking, wow, if the market was discounted 10%, I believe everyone would be jumping in, like right now. And if in my brain at 10% off, no one's jumping back in, then I believe it's a bubble. Does that make sense? What do you guys think? If we saw a 5 to 10% drop, do you think your buyers would be, or your investors would be like sharks?
I think most people kind of want to wait and watch. I mean, that was my experience during the crash last time. Everybody kept trying to feel for the bottom.
Yep.
And I felt like at a certain point it was in the bottom, and I kept telling people that because I'm thinking, how much lower could it go? 50,000, 20,000? I mean, how much lower can it go? And then some people wait a little bit too long. I think it wasn't it like right around 2011 was like the perfect time. 2011, 2012 was such a great time to buy. And so many people still sat and waited, even though we kind of started flattening out, starting to go up. And then they waited another 3 years, like, dang, I wish I would have bought then, but nobody's
And they
got
couldn't, right, Faith? And they couldn't get a house because all the investors were buying them cash.
Exactly.
So first time home buyers were like, I have to do 17 offers. Well, you waited too long, and you're right.
Yeah.
That was the day.
I think that, I mean, I wasn't in the business through the last, 2008 and 2012. So I don't have that experience, but just in my mind, I think everybody, I feel like even a 10% drop or whatever, people would still think, oh, more is coming. So it would still sit on the sidelines waiting for the, for the big red flag that, hey, we're at the bottom, which obviously we all know never comes. Before you even realize we're at the bottom, it's already on the increase again and you missed it. So I think that you're either motivated and you're ready to go, or you're going to find excuses of why you're not. And because you think the prices are going down, which you don't even know just because Uncle John told you or something. But I don't know. I think that those people who are sitting to wait it out are probably not jumping in at the bottom because they're not even going to know when it's at.
And the truth of the matter is what goes down comes back up. What goes up comes down. I mean, that's just everything. That's real estate, that's stock market, that's everything. So you haven't lost anything unless you sell. I mean, look how much we came back in the last 6, 7, 8, 10 years from where we were. I mean,
I was
there, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't in the business then, and but I remember myself included, but everybody was saying like, oh, the values are never going to come back. They're never going to be back to this point. We were at a bubble and we're back. And here we are 10 years, less than 10 years later, we were already there. So I don't know. Again, it's just, I tell everyone like same thing.
Stats.
It's only a loss if you sell your house. Otherwise you have to have a place to live. So what's the difference?
Exactly.
Stats are proving what you're saying, which I do every week in the company. And short sales and foreclosures have gone up nothing. There has not been an increase of short sales or foreclosures, meaning the inventory for sale has 1% short sale, 1% foreclosure. If we were heading down that road again, where are they? You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you guys. It's not 08 because that was a crash of our whole life. I believe it's more like 1982, where the interest rates went to 18% and the market went down like a rock because no one could afford 18%. And then 3 months later, it went down to 12. And anyone that bought at the 18% immediately made 10 or 20% profit on the house. I think this is similar to the 82 versus 08 in that when they get hold of coronavirus with the treatment or a vaccine, the market's going to be on fire. So great analogy.
I think being Mr. Positive.
And I agree with you, Pops. And, I'm a big, feelings do play a part in the market. Absolutely. Whether it's the stock market or the housing market, but you have to look at facts. And the facts are that our demand will outpace our supply for probably the rest of all of our lives. People are multiplying like crazy, and between 2009 to 2013, builders didn't build. And now they can't even keep up with supply in a great market. They're not going to be able to keep up with supply now because of the 4 L's, right? Land, lumber, legislation, and I always forget the last one. Laws. No, land, lumber, legislation. I forget the last one. Anyway, no, it's going to drive me insane. But in 2005, 6, and 7, we were building just in Las Vegas alone 36,000 houses a year, 3,000 houses a month. The highest, I've talked to Nate Hodges, all the people at the Builders Association. We can't build more than 1,000 houses a month. And that's not going to be able to keep up. So if you look at a long-term play for the entire nation, you look at simple economics, we're going to have huge demand, not enough supply forever. So Christina, what you said, if you ride this out, this is probably the best play of our lives. It's just when do you jump in and when do you jump out? And your mindset will matter, because the stories that I'm hearing from all of you are sellers feeling that they got to sell now, buyers feeling that they have to wait, some buyers feeling like the deals are now, and if they wait, no inventory will be there. I mean, let me put you guys on the spot. Would you buy right now?
No.
You wouldn't, Jim?
I am not. Well, you know this, but I was in escrow on a property beginning in March, and I canceled it when everything shut down. I was like, I just play it safe, just play it safe. You never know.
But that was an Airbnb. Different story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was my primary residence, I would buy in a heartbeat right now. If it was investment property, it might just have to be the right deal, the right scenario, the right situation. I'm actually trying, I don't know how many of you know, but my daughter's 18, she's going to be 19 soon. And I'm trying to get her to buy a house right now, because I just think that, why not? If she's going to move out and rent, why not just get her own place? I think that, like I said, seller contributions and things like that it's a good time. So I encourage it. again, if it's your primary residence and you're paying rent anyway, and rents are at a all-time high right now, why would you not? If you can make that happen.
I was going to say the exact same thing, Christina. If it was my primary residence and it was something that I really like, and it was at current market value with these interest rates, I would totally buy a primary residence. But for an investment property, I would have to, it'd have to be a pretty good deal for an investment property.
Dave, tell them about the guy that bought in Toll. I mean, what rate, how much off? I mean, man, if you're finding your dream home now, the things they're offering you now are unheard of. But go ahead. I don't want to.
I don't want to tell too many particulars. It's still in escrow, whatnot. But one of our friends was able to get a house that didn't have the backyard done, probably for under 100,000 off. Now, given $1 million price range, 10% off. New homes, different game. New homes there's uncertainty. They're looking to work with their inventory. So there is so many opportunities. And this guy is a smart guy. And he's like, I'm getting it at a great price, regardless of what happens in the next 2 or 3 months. I'll roll with it either way. I'm in an apartment. I want to buy a dog. I'm engaged to my girlfriend. We're going to get married and start a family. And I'm getting amazing rates. So even if it goes down a little bit, I got everything I wanted. I didn't buy at the high. I got a great rate, and I'm getting personal enjoyment out of it. And I think each situation is unique. But I love telling those stories. And I'd ask, I know, Jim, you got a story about one of your clients. I think that was in the military that moved. There are people that have reasons that make sense to buy. And also, this is an 08 where people are selling off 3 or 4 properties that are vacant because they were speculating. They're selling their own home and buying a home to move into. So give us some stories.
I mean, for the record, you asked, would you buy right now? So I just said no, because I own a primary residence already, like you guys all do. So I agree with you. If I was looking for a primary home, I would buy right now for sure. It's just, you said, would I buy right now? And I'm waiting. So
Yeah, investors, I agree with you, Jim.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
But at what point do you pull the trigger? Like, I've been looking in Southern California for a second home for the last 5 years, and all I've seen is this.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I look, it gets less and less of a deal. And I'm like, I'll just go to the nicest hotels, whatever. Now, maybe you're starting to see some reductions. At what point do I say, this is the time to do it? You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are looking at that, trying to figure out, what are your clients, Faith and Christina, what are their reasons for buying and selling right now?
Primary for us, for me, but that's kind of my line of work anyway. I really don't work with very many investors. The only investors I'll agree to work with is if they want to buy and hold for 20 or 30 years, they want to buy at current market value. I don't really work with investors that run around trying to lowball or whatever. So primary.
As far as primary, though, let's go a little deeper. Are they moving in from other states? Are they moving from a small house to a big house? Just stuff that they would have done anyway if we weren't going through this?
Yeah, actually a lot from out of state. We actually get a lot of military clients that are moving here because they're being transferred. And same thing with my sellers. So I've been doing a lot of estate sales, probate sales. I kind of fell into that. So that's mostly just primary, moving state to state, a handful that are here moving to a bigger home.
What about you, Christina?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit all over the board. I don't think there's any one thing. I have 2 of my listings are probate listings. One is an investor who was renting it out. The renter moved, so he's ready to get rid of it. I have a couple, first-time buyers they're just getting into home ownership, and then I have another listing that turned into a buyer because they are upgrading. Just time for their family to move into something more appropriate for them. So it's a little bit of everything. I'm not seeing like a specific trend. It's kind of just, just like regular real estate. There's always somebody who has a different need at the time.
You know, what's ironic is for a lot of buyers and sellers, the market is going to feel similarly. I'm bad with that word with these big lips, but it's going to feel like same thing. The buying demand has only dropped a little bit, but the amount of sellers is going to drop even more, right? So it's going to be not as much, the same situation where there's not a ton of things to look at, right? Some situations are going to be multiple offers. You're still going to have to search through a lot of stuff to find the good houses, right? The quality of the inventory. I mean, what are you guys seeing with the quality of inventory out there? Is it about the same as it's been?
Well, so one of the things that I noticed is a lot of, people are saying like, well, we're getting an increase in inventory. We're getting more homes hitting the market. But I mean, really, actually, for an active buyer who wants to look at houses and buy houses, that number is super inflated because most of those you can't even look at because they're not showing or it's tenant occupied or whatever. And let's be honest, how many buyers who are searching for a primary residence, which we all just said, that's the buyers right now, are buying a house sight unseen because they can't go inside because it's tenant occupied or the family that lives there doesn't want people in their house. So even though the number looks like we're getting an increase in inventory, the actual availability seems smaller to me. And it's difficult. I'm having a hard time. I actually feel like I'm getting a lot more new build because the resale inventory just isn't the cream of the crop right now.
Beautiful, which the new builds are offering better deals, which they were in the past, not compared to resale, than they were in the past because they were really inflated. How about you, Faith?
I would totally agree with that. And it's harder to find homes to show. Heidi and Tasha have been saying that they've been having a lot of difficulty getting listing agents to pick up their phone at all. They'll call them multiple times, text. And I don't know if they're depressed or got their head buried in it. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like right now you better pick up your phone. I mean, come on. So yeah, harder to show. So that is like Christina going to newer homes because they'll pick up the phone and you can see the house. And come on, listing agents, like do a video, put it online, do something, do a virtual open house, let people see the house.
Yeah, I find that like my buyers will send me a list of their top 10, let's say, for example, and less than half of them are available to actually be seen for one reason or another.
Jimmy.
Yo.
What do you
see?
I
sold the owner occupied home with them not seeing it. It's a Californian moving here for work, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't even do a virtual tour. But anyways, I guess it's happening. It's happening. They saw the pictures. I'm like, it looks like the pictures. And they're like, all right. So
out of state ones I can see.
Yeah. But no, I agree. I mean, I don't know. There is not one particular thing. I mean, people are moving for various reasons. Upgrading, like moving to a big one. There's still those people that are kind of stepping up, or some people right sizing down, or moving out of state closer to family. There's not one particular thing. And to bring it back to your original question is, there's not anything in particular that we're doing. We're just kind of moving along with business as usual and just kind of staying informed with the times and stuff and just anticipating. But while we're here, I wanted to ask all you guys, Dave, you guys,
are you turning the interview around on me?
I'm turning it on you guys. I wanted to hear from you guys here. So I think it's a little too soon to expect short sales and REOs, obviously, because you can't even foreclose right now, right? But do you see that market coming back at all?
You want to go first, Pop?
When we had that glut of short sales and REOs, I don't want to term the person. I'll just say she was a dancer. I was working then, and one of the agents sold her 11 houses. She was buying with no credit, fake credit, $1 down.
Okay.
And 11 houses went on the market in one day because of the loan process, the ability to get it, and all of a sudden everyone thinking they were investors. Other thing was, and again, not in a negative way, but I live in reality, people were using their houses as ATMs, and they were taking HELOCs and buying a boat, going to Italy, getting plastic surgery.
Yeah.
So when the market went down, again, they took it at the highest price and they had to either short sale not because of what they paid for the house, but they made it an ATM.
Yeah.
With the lending restrictions now and the fact that investors have skin in the game, and even homeowners couldn't get 120% loan like they were giving. And because I feel it's a temporary situation, I'm not saying we're not going to get some, because that would be stupid. But I do say I don't think we're going to get the glut that we had in those days before.
So he said it perfectly. I wrote down more equity now, less homes owned, and more loan requirements. I think that'll save us from seeing a drastic amount. And regardless of, because I see your issue, your potential issue. I've had great conversations with Brian Lebo about this. Yeah, the servicers and the mortgage market, they're going to go through some pain, and we're going to have to figure that out. But the difference here is people don't have alternatives if their house. They got to live somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's a different game. Like that, again, back to the supply and demand. I mean, yes, we may see a little bit of a change in rental rates and prices of homes, but I don't believe the bottom's going to fall out because there's too many people that need a bed to lay their head on. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle there, because I truly believe that we have that supply and demand issue. And at the same time, we're going to eventually have to pay the piper, right? That's just the reality of it. But I am surprisingly bullish on this situation for sure. And then that is a great segue, Jim, in that question. I'm glad you asked it. Of with the difficulty of opening the strip and how much we are incumbent upon that couple of miles of land, I have a take, and I want to hear your take first, of will people still move here even without the strip fully operational, and why and who? So who will move here? Will they still move here, and why? Those are the questions I have for the three of you.
I think people are still going to move here just because it is affordable. I mean, Californians are going to come here probably at a higher rate, actually, is what I'm thinking at this point, because and yeah, I think they're going to come here still. It's good living in Las Vegas, and it's an affordable thing. So
even without gambling, right?
Even without gambling, I think most people that move to Las Vegas don't move here for the gambling, right? Yeah.
But gambling will be back, Dave. Differently, but it'll be back.
I am in total agreement. They're figuring it out. I'm just saying there's a process that we're going to go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love the possible diversification in people moving here for multiple reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just one. And that lets Vegas be more, right? So Christina, Faith.
Well, a lot of the hotel casinos, remember, they had been changing their model a lot and getting rid of a lot of gambling. I don't have all the names of them off the top of my head, but I was surprised over the last 2 years, all of the casinos that were going to be making these changes and having less gambling, because they found out that a very small percentage of people were actually coming here to gamble. They were coming here for vacation, for like a destination. So, once everything's opened back up, I think that will change a lot. They're pretty far down the road with building and changing those things. And then we have diversified somewhat. I don't think we were quite as far along as I wish we would have been before this hit. But I mean, we've got the Amazon facilities. My son is in his 3rd year as an apprentice electrician, and he's been down there for a year and a half building the Google center, the data center. He said that's going to be done probably another year and a half. So we still have construction is still going on. We have a lot of other reasons for people to move here, including the weather, no state taxes, all that good stuff. So I think that's always going to be a good comeback. And once I've been here for 25 years, once you're in Vegas for a year or 2 or 3, I mean, it just so grows on you. I've in the past, I'm like, oh, someday I want to get out of the big city. But then I started looking around and I'm like, well, this place got hurricanes. This has got tornadoes. This one's got big bugs, you know, and 3% property tax rates. And then you just start realizing all that Nevada has to offer. So I think there's still gonna be plenty of people want to move here.
So before we jump to you, Christina, I just want to point out some great points by Faith. The same reasons why people were moving here beforehand, I agree completely. The weather, no natural disasters. I think the states that have no income tax, like you said, us, Florida, Texas, are going to win. But we talked about this on my dad's broker roundtable yesterday. Even Texas has 3% property taxes. You know, we have 1%. It's so tough to beat regardless. So
Big bugs.
the killer
Florida,
murder hornets, right? Christina, jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything different. I tell people all the time, I love Vegas, but maybe because I'm naive and I don't know any better because I was born and raised here. But when I go out of town on vacation, I'd want nothing more than to just go home more often than not, because I like this 24-hour availability, access, living at some of the most affordable pricing. I mean, you can't really go anywhere else and get what you can get here.
That's such a good point. I just want to point this out. I was making a joke with everybody too, with the whole shutdown and everything, lockdown. You know, business is having the shortened hours and stuff. Yeah. I was just telling everybody, do you know this is how the rest of the world kind of lives? Like nothing is open 24/7 like Vegas.
Spoiled.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh my God, it's closed at 8 tonight. What's up with that? Like,
half the times I got up and it's like 8:30. I got to go to Walmart. I'm like, Walmart's closed.
Before it closes. Yeah. So Vegas.
Do you guys see more of the retirees who have the Social Security and the pensions and the disability and all those monthly payments that don't rely on them getting jobs? Potentially in a tough time, they get a job. Do you see them flocking more from the harder hit cities like the East Coast and the Midwest and maybe even California in a more accelerated rate to go to a less dense place because of this? Or maybe their dollar just goes further now because of their economy is being shaken up a little bit by the coronavirus.
I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I would imagine that it would make sense that could definitely be coming in our very near future. But I personally haven't seen it.
I haven't either, but it does make sense.
I mean, I haven't seen it either, but when talking to retirees and stuff, I think that our biggest drawback in Las Vegas is our healthcare. I think if our healthcare was on point here, no doubt people will be flocking here. I think that's the one thing that I've heard the most about it. So cost of living, all that stuff is great, but older people seem to be more concerned with healthcare and stuff. So that's kind of what that's the one the thing holding us back, if anything.
So Pops, let me ask you the same question. And Jim made up a good point. So you have health on the older side and education, our other issue, on the lower side,
the young side, yeah.
Younger side. Maybe opportunity with telehealth and different ways of doing education because of this. Maybe we come out stronger as a city and we can compete harder. What do you see for the future of people moving here? Do you think they're more likely to say, you know what, this is the last straw for me living in Long Island, I'm going? What's the story?
First of all, on healthcare, I agree with Jim, but I will say in the 23 years I'm here, that healthcare has improved drastically to the better. There's a lot of great doctors coming here for the same reason we did, that they want a better life and live a higher quality of life. So they've moved to Vegas. So that's improving. I just see that people are going to come from other states because they realize now that we're trapped. My sister in New York said to me, wow, Dave, you're out walking. The weather's beautiful. The stores aren't overwhelming. You're still able to get food. So her goal in getting here is to live an easier life, and her pension and Social Security of her husband to go much further, and to buy a beautiful home for $500,000 rather than an attached 1,100 square foot townhome that's worth $800,000. So do I think I think the retiree is going to be huge in up and coming. And I think the lower tax states like us and Faith's point, no bugs, blah, 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 and not 3% for your house on taxes is going to draw a large retire population. I think that the people that thought they were going to come in here to get to the whole hotel business are probably going to second think it because that's not as successful. But like I say to everyone, even if there's 30% on employment here,
okay.
70% of those other people they're still working. They're still working. They still have jobs and they're still buying houses. So I see it that yes, it may be a different group of people, but I think the people will move in.
So I've been reading, and I'd love your take on this. I got two more questions. I've been reading a lot about people in apartments or condos wanting single family homes now. People in cities wanting suburbs, people in suburbs wanting exurbs, right? Faith, I can't tell you how attractive living where you live by Tule Springs is now from, I'm thinking about, right? And exactly, but I think there's going to be a desire for that, whether it's a psychological kind of after feeling of all this. And I think this, I want your take on this. My father and I, he grew up in Queens and he moved out into Long Island. Long Island was growing, but it was out on the island. That's literally how we said it, out on the island. So he can get an acre of land for the horses, and because he was in Queens. I mean, we only had one half bathroom type size when we grew up. When we moved to Vegas, it was like everyone gets a bathroom, everyone gets a bedroom. Like, it was insane. So do you think we're going to see the Pahrumps and Sky Canyon and Lake Las Vegas explode a little bit? What's your take, you guys, three of you?
That's a good point. I think that could go that direction a lot, or even further on the outskirts of Las Vegas.
I would say yes. Also, I think we're going to expand as far as we need to, and people want more space. I think that's definitely a thing, and I think all those things will happen. I think Pahrump will be more than a Walmart and a McDonald's or whatever it is right now, and going up north especially too. Yeah, who knows? Might even see a resurgence of, what is that one project? Was it Coyote Springs?
Oh, Coyote Springs.
Yeah, Coyotes.
Is that still going?
You might see a resurgence of that.
They're getting ready to restart it. They in the golf course and stuff.
Now would be the time. Oh gosh, in Pahrump, you can get a brand new house on like a third of an acre for in the low 300s, like a 2,000, 2,500 square foot single story. So yeah, 45-minute drive.
I just met with a retired couple on Friday. It was a listing appointment, and they're selling their house in Henderson and going out to Pahrump because they can get more space for a lot less money.
You know, what's funny is these unintended consequences. What?
His eyes.
I'm going, no, Pahrump, daddy.
We got a comment over Stacy Vito going, nope, Pahrump.
See, Stacy and I always agreed on everything. No Pahrump for me.
But it's funny how some of these unintended consequences, or these new things like golf courses, were really taking a beating before this, closing like crazy. I think we may see a resurgence of golf courses. It's so crazy. I know. Like, I get frustrated playing golf. You know what I would do to play golf right now? I can't even tell you. So, and what I'm also hearing from you guys, and maybe this is just my perspective or frame, is that what's happening now may accelerate Vegas into becoming even more of a real community, less dependent upon the Strip. And I am so much about silver linings. If the silver lining, one of the many, is that we become less dependent on that Strip community, I think that's a beautiful thing, because then we can have more diversified economy, more communities, and that's a win for everybody, education, health, and things like that. So maybe I'm the only one seeing, this is what I'm taking from you guys. All right, last question. When you look back on this, we're all past it. Let's just picture the future. And there's a vaccine, very few people are dying. And whether it's in a month or whether it's in 18 months, who knows? And you look back in your best possible frame of perspective, what will you say you're most grateful for what we went through? What has changed? If you could try to put yourself there.
I'd say the same thing that I do now about the crash in 2008, because while that was one of the hardest things I ever went through, I rely on that wisdom that I got from it. I completely changed the way that I pay for things, the way I buy things, my drive and determination, my determination to not be pushed down or sit and be in depression or anything like that, and just get up and go and just be willing to do whatever you have to do. That I think I'll just have, it'll be a whole second wave for me of, oh man, I've been through that. I'm stronger for it. Here's the things I'm going to change in my life so that in the future it's going to be even better and I'll be an even stronger person.
Love it.
I will say for me, because I, again, didn't go through the 2008 thing, this has just been just more of a confidence booster in myself and my own ability to power through no matter what happens. You know what I mean? Getting into the real estate business, we all know the statistics. I went in knowing that there's a good chance that I could fall flat on my face and not make this work. And so, you know, just having the 5 years that I have had, and then entering into this situation, and, you know, and I had one little thought process of, oh my gosh, this is super scary. What if, all the what ifs. And then I was like, no, I'm going to just go and do it. And then getting to this side. So that's on the career end of it. Is I'm so thankful for this opportunity to like really challenge myself and see if I can power through. But on the personal end, on the family side, like one of the things that bothers me probably in a lot of Las Vegas communities, even myself that I've lived in, is not feeling like that neighborhood feeling. You don't know your neighbors, people open the garage, pull out, you never see anybody, never. And I love going outside right now, just at home, and my neighbors are out, the kids are out riding bikes, riding skateboards. I just love that community feeling. It's the one thing that is probably my least favorite thing about Las Vegas, is in a lot of the communities here, you don't get that neighborhood feel. And so I am so appreciative of that. It feels so good, even if I don't even say anything to the neighbor, just to go outside and see neighbors. It's like, look, we have people around us.
Yeah.
You know, I love that, because Angie and I and the kids have been walking. We finally started walking at night. It's so beautiful at night. And we walk to the Willows Park and it's packed. We walk to the Gardens Park and it's packed. People are talking to us, you know, some of the backyards you can see through, and they're hanging out with their friends because, you know, they're forced to. Yeah. And they're having a drink and the music's on and they're saying, hey, it's almost like being on a pier, you know, type in California. Everyone's just chilling. And I love it too. I'm like, I hope we don't lose this, because what would have Cinco de Mayo looked like for any of us? It would have been a full day of stressful work, rushing to the bar to get some drinks, rushing for dinner for the kids, rushing to get the homework done, and starting it all over again. And yet yesterday we're just hanging out with the family and eating and walking. It's a beautiful reset. How about you, Jim?
The coronavirus. Well, to put it in perspective, I would say, okay, at the end of last year, I went to a training thing, and it was real estate related, but they talked about time and things like that. And they gave us a lot of statistics. The person instructing, his kids were like the same age as my kids, which are kind of the same age as your kids, Dave. And one of the stats that he pointed out was, if you have a 9-year-old kid, you pretty much have spent more than 50% of the days with that person, because once they become 18, adults, I mean, you're seeing you know, I see my parents every couple months, maybe. I see my sister twice a year, like that kind of stuff. But they said, like, yeah, we're almost halfway through the time with our 9-year-old already. All right. So I'm just always going to look back at this time as it gave me more days with my kids and my wife and my little puppy too. So, I mean, I feel like I'm totally grateful for it. And like you had pointed out, like Faith and Christina, I haven't had any slowdown in work, so I've been at home spending more time with them. But it's like it just more of a reminder to put the time where it's important, really. So yeah.
I got chills when you were talking about that.
Yeah.
How about you, Pops? What's going to be your takeaway when you look back? Your gratitude and whatnot.
Well, gratitude that I'm in the age group that has pre-existing and age that I survived, right?
Yes.
Real estate wise, one of the things Faith said about, oh, I should have bought in 2012 because the prices were the lowest. The rates right now in mortgaging are the lowest since 1971. So I think what's going to happen next year when the rates go up after the election, everyone's going to say, wow, I should have bought in 2020 when the rates were so cheap. Because when you look at mortgage payments and you explain to your buyers and sellers what the difference is going to be when they buy a new bigger house and when they buy a first house, the money is so cheap. So I think the takeaway for real estate right now is while these rates are so low and they're giving closing costs, man, if it's your home, jump in. So that's my real estate take. My personal taste, like I said, I can't wait to hug and kiss you again, Dave, because you are my baby. And then Angie, we went to the house to see them and stay 12 feet away. I want to rub her pregnant belly, and I want to kiss my two granddaughters till they are soaking wet and push me away and say, Grandpa, stop kissing me. So that's my miss.
I wrote something down. The reason why I asked you guys is I wrote something down when I was journaling the other day. And I was working on my perspective in my frame. And I said, what if I look at this and say my goal is to look back at 2020 and say it was one of the best years of my life? What if I force myself to try to pull out that much perspective and gifts and, things that I let go of that I no longer serve me, but I've been holding on for the wrong reasons, and things that I finally went towards that I've been not giving myself the permission to do. So that's my goal, to look back and go, you know what? 2020 was tough, but it was the year that I got so clear on what matters and what's important. So I look back and go, it's the most grateful year of my life. So with that, I can't tell you how much I am grateful for the three of you. You're not, we say this, we'll kind of let everyone else into what we talk about all the time. It's not just about real estate. It's about the fact that I genuinely care about all three of you. If Urban Nest didn't exist tomorrow and I was walking down the street, I would hug and kiss all three of you and say, how are you? And I miss you. And, let's go to lunch. And that's what matters. You spend so much time, hustling. You want to make sure you're doing it with people you care about. So I'm so grateful that we get the honor to do it with you guys. I'm grateful that I get to work with my best friend and my father all the time. And thank you for doing this. And I appreciate everything.
Thank you guys too. We appreciate
Thank you,
too.
Daves.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Take care.